Good afternoon and welcome to my gym in my building. We have a big, long repeat session on the plan today on this fine Wednesday afternoon. It is so hot and humid outside today that I've decided to do it inside. We had a little new family member, not a human, a dog, arrive this morning.
One is going to be this X, and then this X, and the date. That is a health guarantee.
Buddy, we are not impressed with you last night. You were wiggling, squiggling around, not being able to stay still for hours on end. Do you have anything to say about your actions and behaviour? Wow. At 5:30, I was actually planning on heading out to where Colin McCow lives, which is about 50 minutes west of here. But the delivery from the breeders of the puppy arrived right at the time I was going to go. So skip that. That consumed most of the morning. Now it's 2:30 in the afternoon. I've done a bit of work and uploaded actually the last video just a few hours ago that you saw before this. And now we're hitting the treadmill. Got the iPad up. Joe Rogan just put out an episode with Andrew Huberman, so I'm going to watch that as I go. But I'm going to do a 20-minute warm-up. And then I'm stealing a workout from Eliud Kipchoge. He has published this on the internet, and he's also, well, he told us this when we went to Kenya in 2017. I think he's even published this exact workout through another media company, I think, on YouTube. But it's 5 sets of 2K, 1K. So 2K, 1K times 5. 2K at probably around threshold, maybe slightly faster, which for me probably should be about 305, 306 per K. 5-minute mile pace is probably right around my threshold right now, especially on a treadmill. I find treadmills maybe slightly faster. And the 1K a little bit faster than that, so probably close to 3 minutes. But the problem that I have is, and this might give some of you guys an idea if you have a treadmill that's not quite fast enough for the speeds that you want to do, this treadmill goes a maximum of 12 miles an hour, which is 5-minute mile pace, which is I think it's 305 or 306 per K. So that's perfect for my 2K reps, but my 1K reps, it's not quite fast enough. So I'm going to put the incline up to, I think I'll probably try 2%. So I'll give that a go. So I'll do 12 miles an hour for everything, the 2K, 1K, 2K, 1K, and I'll take a minute between each one. I think I might take 90 seconds or 2 minutes in between the sets. And yeah, I'll go 12 miles an hour at 0.5% incline, and then for the 2K, and then 12 miles an hour at 2% incline for the 1K. And I figured that will make the 1K just a little bit harder. Because I think the workout will be probably slightly too easy if I do everything at 5-minute mile pace or 305 per K. So that's the workout this week, middle of the week. 20 minutes warm up, 20 minutes cool down. That'll be 4.5K each, 9K plus 15K, 24K probably in total, roughly. I sweat so much in here. I mean, I've got a fan, luckily, but I still sweat a lot in here because of the way there's no air, of course there's air, there's no wind. So I bought 2 pairs of super shoes down with me because when I run on here for any more than an hour, my shoes get so wet that it starts to become kind of slippery on the treadmill. So I haven't worn these for a while, but I'm going to wear the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pros for the first half. If I don't feel like they're getting too sweaty, too wet, I'll just keep them on. But if they do feel like they're getting too sweat, I'll go with the old school Vapor Fly. Is this the 1 or the 2? The 2. Probably arguably my favorite super shoe ever. I've been using the Super Blast. Thank you to ASICS that sent me a couple of pairs of Super Blasts over a month ago now. I think it was maybe 2 months ago. They are the greatest shoe ever. Although my good friend Luke, who is probably watching this, strongly disagrees and doesn't like ASICS at all. But I think, or ASICS, isn't it? Here, I think in the US. I've been saying most of the brands wrong. Puma, Nike, ASICS. Either way, ASICS. I'm definitely leaning towards them for all of my easy runs and long runs. The Super Blast. All right, I'm going to get started. Reem will probably come down soon, take a couple of quick videos. And yeah, so far, good week. Did 20K on Monday, 27K yesterday in 2 runs. At least I did 75 minutes and 45 minutes. I can't actually remember what that exactly total, but it was about that. So still on track for the 100 miles for the week. And this is the one big midweek workout that I've been doing every single week. Normally trying to hit around 10 miles or more worth of volume. This is pretty close. Yeah, see how we go. All right, speak to you afterwards. Done. Reem was going to come down and take some clips of me running on the treadmill, but I guess she got caught up with work. And who cares? You know what I look like running. Got the 5 sets done, all at 12 miles an hour, 0.5% incline on the 2Ks. I actually just ran for time. I ran for 6 minutes and 10 seconds, knowing that that's 3:05 per K, knowing that's 5-minute mile pace. So I actually didn't run for distance, I ran for time, but it would have been 99% accurate. And so 6 minutes 10 on at 5-minute mile pace. I know I'm throwing around kilometers and miles in the same equation, but it makes sense in my head. 6 minutes 10 on, minute off, 3 minutes on at 5-minute mile pace, which is 3:05 per K, but 2% incline because the treadmill doesn't go faster. I probably realistically needed the treadmill to go a little bit faster today to really make that feel like a 9 out of 10 effort, which is what I was hoping for. It was probably more like an 8 out of 10 effort. But got it done, it was good. I mean, realistically, maybe it's a good thing to be probably slightly below the effort at the moment because, you know, all things are indicating that I'm probably in great race shape right now, maybe even to go for my personal best, or like 2 weeks away from that, and we've still got six and a half weeks to go. So if anything, if I've learned anything about that scenario, it's that you're probably best to slightly undercook it, you know, for a little while. If you think you're on track and you've still got a long time to go, you're probably slightly better. So you're probably, I'm not making sense. You're probably better to go slightly easier than too hard in training sessions. So that was awesome. I took 1 minute in between the 6:10s, 1 minute rest, 3 minutes. And then in between those sets, I took about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Yeah, really good. Gonna head up, get something to eat, check in with you in the next workout. Hey guys, I just want to say a huge thank you to some of the sponsors that work with Sweat Elite that help bring the content to you to read, watch, and listen to over on Instagram, podcast, and on YouTube. The first one is Kaizen. Kaizen, I introduced to you last week, is an application that predicts your marathon time and that can set some targets in terms of volume for you to try and hit in your marathon training. And very soon they're bringing more events to the Kaizen app, including the half marathon and 10K. So that's coming very soon. At the moment, Kaizen is predicting me to run 2:14:27. That's very bullish. I'm not super sure if I'm that confident in myself, but at least Kaizen is, and I highly recommend checking out what Kaizen predicts for you in your marathon build. All you have to do is connect it to your Strava account and it will immediately show you a marathon prediction, and you can set goals and targets and so on and so forth, and it helps guide you towards those volume goals. So huge thank you to Kaizen. The second one is Ketone IQ, who many of you guys know we've been working with for a very long time now. I consume their shot every single morning. The caffeine one with peach flavor is a great flavor. I really like this one. I take it pretty much every single day, first thing in the morning, and I'll often take a second shot without caffeine, their regular one, just before a hard workout. They also have recently introduced a pouch so that you can take it in the middle of training sessions and also in races. If you want to score 30% off Ketone IQ, you can head to ketone.com/sweatelite to try it out for yourself. So many of the world's best athletes are utilizing Ketone IQ in training and in racing, including Olympic champion in the 1500, Cole Hocker, Cooper Teare, his training partner, and the American champion in the 1500 meters in previous years. Sarah Hall, Des Linden, Cam Worth, Sam Laidlow. I mean, so many of those guys and girls are some of the best endurance athletes in the world. So I recommend checking out Ketone IQ and scoring 30% off at ketone.com/sweatelite. Also, Soar Running. Everything that you see that I'm wearing in this video series and everything that you ever see me wear out there on the roads or on the trails or on the track is Soar Running. It's pretty much the only brand that I have in my closet at the moment, and I absolutely love their gear. It's super lightweight. It's especially really good for people that sweat a lot like myself, because the gear just doesn't hold sweat and water really at all. So it stays very light and it's super comfortable and incredibly durable. Some of their garments I've had for 3 years and they're like brand new. So, you know, the cost obviously is there, but the durability is absolutely incredible of Soar Running. So I highly recommend checking out Soar Running yourself, and you can score a little discount if you hit the link in the description or at the very top of the screen right now over at Soar Running. A huge thank you to Soar for sponsoring this video series. Welcome to Friday morning. We are past halfway in the training week. We are past 100K for the week. Not that I'm counting mileage or anything. And this week has been, so far, pretty good. The workout on the treadmill today was obviously good, but I tell you what, guys, like, one thing I try to do in these video series is that I'm not in any way, shape or form comparing myself to the popularity of Lionel Sanders, but I do love Lionel Sanders because he shares the struggles so well. And it's something that I think a lot of content creators don't do very well. They just show the huge workouts. And I've done that plenty of times. I did a 15 by 1K workout, I think at the start of last year. That was one of the best workouts I've ever done. And it's great to share those workouts. But I think it's really important also to share the mentally struggling times, because every single one of you watching now will know that they come. And this week has been all around the heat. I'm going to do a little bit of a whinge here for the next minute. I have found this last summer, behind the scenes, I have quit this build-up 4 times. I haven't quit running, but I've just quit training in this heat. And a couple of weeks ago, we had a week where it was a lot cooler. It got down to, still not that cold, high 50s, low 60s, which is 15, 16 degrees Celsius. And all of a sudden training was way easier again. And I had just been hanging out for that week for 3 months, because I just, pretty much every run for weeks, I had just been a bit of a death march towards the end of just losing so much water and just overheating. And it's gone back after that cool week to being really, really hot again this week. And so I've been forced to sort of every day make the decision, do I go outside, which is what I love to do, or do I ditch it and go on the treadmill? And last night I had a run where I had a little bit of a breakdown. I went for I was supposed to be 10K, ended up running 8K. I didn't really properly check the weather beforehand. I just knew it was gonna be warm, so I got out the door, I was a little bit busy. And within 2 miles, I was just absolutely heating up, drenched in sweat. And I was just it wasn't necessarily that situation that made me have a little bit of a meltdown. What I mean by meltdown is I just stopped and sat down and got in the shade for 20 minutes and took a phone call and just went, man. It's just more the accumulation of that feeling over months. And so yes, I'm complaining, yes, I'm whinging, but I have really struggled this summer training to the point where I'm probably not going to ever do this again, as in do a marathon build up through the summer in Chicago. And someone commented on my last video saying it's a good point. It's the summers in Chicago aren't that hot. They're actually quite nice. It's not necessarily the heat. It doesn't really even get over 90 that much, but the humidity is just so intense. It's just always 85, 90%. It's usually 95%. And even at 75 degrees, sorry for the noise, it's just brutal. So anyway, I'm sure you guys have heard enough complaining over the last couple of months on different channels of people whinging about the heat, but I'm just telling you that it's been a real struggle. And I would love to be outside this morning doing these hill sprints on the hill, but it's 80 degrees at 7 in the morning. That's 26 degrees, 95% humidity, and I just can't do it. I just don't have the drive to do it. So I'm going on the treadmill. I'll do an easy, probably 30 minutes, and then I'm going to do 10 by 20 seconds, really hard, on the treadmill. Now, the only difference in this workout compared to the regular workout is the hill I normally go to is 4%. So I can hold 4-minute mile pace on 4% for 15, 20 seconds, no problem. I'm going to put this treadmill, the max speed of this treadmill is 5-minute mile. It doesn't go any faster, as I said the other day in the 2K, 1K workout. So in order to really get a lot of stimulus out of that, I need to put the incline up really high. And I've actually done this before on this treadmill back in, I think it was April or May. So I'm going to put the treadmill up to 15% and stick it to 5-minute miles, because anything below 15%, say 10%, it's just not hard enough. I don't feel like I'm going hard, unless I obviously extend the hills to be a minute, but that's sort of a different workout then. That's sort of like a VO2 max regular interval workout. I want this to be an anaerobic effort where it's just really hard but over very quickly. So I'll do 10, 20 seconds with 15%. If that feels too easy after a few, I might even extend it to 25 or 30 seconds, we'll see. But the point is the feeling that you get from that sort of effort, which really should be, anaerobic, really fast, very intense. It shouldn't necessarily feel like doing 1 minute on, 1 minute off on the flat. That's a different stimulus. So yeah, that's the goal today. I don't know if I'll have any footage or not. We'll see if Reem comes down or if I can set the camera up anyway to do a little selfie mode. But 10 by 20 second hills, 15% gradient, 5-minute mile pace, which is 305, 306 per kilometer, but that's really important. And continue on with the week. I'll try and do 15 or 20K today in total. And that will leave long run and another easy day to make over 100 miles. And everything else, can't complain. All right, let's get to these hill sprints on the treadmill. And we're done. Oh, that was actually remarkably harder than doing it outside. The incline obviously is so what I explained before, the 15% incline and 5-minute mile pace is significantly harder than doing 4% incline and 4-minute mile pace. I mean, probably obvious, it's probably not much of a surprise, but last week, I think I even said in the video that I jogged back down in 75 seconds, minute 15. I'm good to go again, no problem. I could probably even do the same speed on all of them outside on the 4% hill with a minute rest. Whereas 2 minutes rest between everyone then was a struggle towards the end. I felt like extending it to, I'm like 2 minutes finished now and I'm still like, my heart rate is still really high. So I think somewhere in the middle is ideal, like 7% hill. I mean, like I said, I could have dropped this to 7% or 8%, but then the speed isn't fast enough to do the duration of interval that I want. Like the sweet spot is like 15, the sweet spot's like 8 seconds to 20 seconds. You could argue maybe even 30 seconds is okay, but that's for someone that's really anaerobically strong. But if I put this down to 7%, you know what I'm saying. The 5-minute mile pace is too slow. I'd have to go for like a minute or a minute and a half to get any sort of fatigue. So it's a bit of a bummer. I don't have this. It's crazy. I live in a city, Chicago. Like everyone in the world knows Chicago, but there's nowhere anywhere near me that has like a regular 6% hill that's like 200 meters. But can't complain. You know, I've got this awesome room with treadmills in my building. There's no complaining from me. But that was really good. It was exactly the stimulus I wanted. It's fascinating. This brought back a memory of when I was doing these in April on the treadmill. I think one day it was like really, really, really bad weather outside, so I did it in here. And the 20 seconds is so, like the first 12 seconds is pretty easy, and then very quickly you deteriorate to the point where the last 5 seconds in every one is like oh God, can I make this? Like, it's like at the 10-second mark, it's like 5 out of 10 effort. At the 19-second mark, it's like 9 out of 10 effort, only 9 seconds later. It's fascinating stuff, but do a cool down for 20 minutes and then do my gym. I'll show you more about the gym in another episode. It's nothing special, to be honest. It's just 4 basic exercises and I kind of already showed them, but I'll dive a bit deeper into that later. But that's Friday done. I'll probably do a second run, 30, 40 minutes later on, a little bit more volume. And next big one is Sunday, where I think I'm going to do 22 miles with 4 by 3 miles within it at marathon effort. So I'll structure that more specifically closer to the time, but I want to do basically 4 by 5K or 4 by 3 miles within at marathon effort. I don't think this weekend's going to be very cool. It's probably going to be closer to 20 degrees Celsius or 7 degrees Fahrenheit on Sunday morning. So I'm really going to have to adjust those marathon efforts back and probably do them a bit slower than the goal pace due to the conditions. But we'll check in with you Sunday. It takes me up until Friday. Yeah, I'll see you on Sunday morning. The lakefront is absolutely pumping this morning. So many people training for Chicago out here.
I can't wait for cold sparkling water.
How'd you go?
Not bad. I felt my glute tighten at mile like 14. It started to really tighten up, but I knew I could just keep pushing.
Yeah.
So it was like stop wimping out.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if anyone else does this, but or if like you do this. I mean, right when I'm about to pick it up, I'm like, ooh, it's so hot. I'm struggling. And then I'm like, oh, shut up and pull it together. But
What do you manage those last 4 miles in?
I think I stuck around 740.
Yeah. Nice
I
one.
dipped a little more, like 742, 745.
So
At one point, like when we were going a slight uphill, I think I went to like 759 something.
That's so good.
And then I like dipped again. So, not
So
too bad.
I purposely finished the route right here because it's 1 mile, so we can run to a place with pancakes to get
Yeah.
23 miles for the day.
We're gonna go get turbo.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Just stuff ourselves.
1 more mile to go to make 23.
Whew, can't wait for cold water. Ooh.
Welcome back. It's Sunday morning. Rain's just getting up. 5 a.m. alarm was on again for a 6:45 start. I want to get up and practice the eating beforehand. I'd probably normally get up a bit more before an hour 45 before the start, but I'm not going to get up at 4 a.m. just randomly. But I think in an ideal world, you want to have 2.5, 3 hours between the meal, but that's individual. Big long run today to end the week. I think I'll be way over 100 miles for the week. I think I'm already at like 90, and this will be a 22 mile run. Could be at 89, something like that. 22 miles, I'm meeting up with two buddies, two guys, although one I haven't actually met. I've been in discussions with him for a while. Blake, he's a 65.5 guy. I don't know if he's run too many marathons yet, but he's running Chicago and hoping for around the same time as me, definitely in the 220. And Colin McCow, who is a 211 guy. Many of you might know who he is, especially if you're from Chicago. He has run 211 a few times, and he's great to train with, obviously much better than I am, much fitter than I am. But thankful to have both of them join me in the run this morning, where we're gonna do 22 miles in total, 6 miles warm up, and then 3 by 4 miles at marathon effort. So that's about almost 4 by 5K. Did I say 3? But I'm still half asleep, sorry. 4 by 3 miles. So it's basically very close to 4 by 5K. It's 4 by 4.8K. Trying to probably go pretty close to like 520 mile pace, 320 per K pace. You'd probably ideally want to go a little bit faster, but it's not going to be cold today. It's going to be about 70 degrees Fahrenheit by the time we get to those reps. I think the low this morning at 4 a.m. was 65, so I think it's already 68. So it's like 20 Celsius, so you know, still pretty warm for me at least, and for these two guys. So yeah, we'll see. I think 320K pace would be awesome to hit. That would basically be, I'd feel like that's probably the equivalent of 315, 314 for me if it was much cooler in terms of effort. So that's good. Loading on the Monster, loading on the Ketone IQ shots, the caffeine one and the regular one. I'll take one of the packet ones in the run. It's in my room, I forgot to bring it out. But yeah, here's a little nutrition class or science experiment or whatever you want to call it. I am actually experimented in today with some higher dose electrolytes to see if it will combat the cramps, because I've claimed before that I've tried electrolytes for these cramping, like because it's warm today and it's going to be some high intensity, I would predict I probably might be cramping towards the end. And I've said I've tried taking in lots of electrolytes during races and before, but in retrospect, I don't know if I've done it very well. Like as in, I don't know if I've really calculated how much I'm having, and some people have said, I just don't think you've tried to have enough during. I've loaded before, big time, but I just think the during part might be something I need to explore more. So I'm using these little bottles. I'm filling them up with high doses of the Precision sodium mix, sodium tablet, a magnesium pill that I found that you can just empty the content, like you can pull the capsule apart, and then some potassium, and having it in really high doses. And having probably 3 of them through the run. It doesn't taste very good, but it doesn't matter. I have to just get it down and see if that helps. I do fundamentally believe at this point that the cramping is mostly strength related, but I think it's definitely in part due to like sweat and electrolyte loss as well, to some extent. Because in this summer, I've had a lot of cramping situations when it's been really warm, and days when it's cold, they don't come. So I feel like it's a combination of both somehow. It's crazy to think I still don't even know what it is after 18 marathons and cramping through basically all of them, at least all the ones I've gone all out. So I'm gonna try that, which will be good. Gels, I've been really enjoying these gels from, I think it's Chargel, car gel, and they're not really a gel. It's like what is it? It's just a gel drink on the packet, but it's basically like carrying a gel with water in the packet with it, and the texture is much sort of thinner. It's much less thick. I discovered these in Japan with a different brand name. I think it was called IN, and yeah, I really like them. So I'll take them. I'll take some Precision gels. I think it's good to mix it up with gels as well and have a couple of different flavors. Otherwise, over time, I don't really get too sick of the Precision ones, but having those ones is really good because it feels like you're having water with it. I think I went through everything. Oh yeah, the Rhodiola Rosea. I was just thinking what else I'm taking in these runs. It's just something Andrew Huberman said was really helpful for mental strength and stamina. And I don't know, I think it helps a little bit. Totally legal, obviously. Otherwise I wouldn't be taking it and sharing it. But yeah, I've been having this from time to time in long runs, and I feel like it helps a tiny bit, but I don't know. It could be just a placebo effect. But there are some studies to say that it can help with sort of mental stamina. Physical and mental stamina, it says on the packet, so there you go. Oh yeah, the ominous headband, not sponsored. Did send it to me for free though. I think it helps a little bit. I don't think it's a game changer by any means. A lot of people have asked about this. I feel like at this point, probably end of the summer, it might not be worth buying, just because you won't get a lot of use out of it. Well, it depends where you are, obviously. If you're in like Dubai, maybe it would be, but I feel like I've said to people the best way to describe it is it helps you cool like 5%. I don't really know how else to put it, but it's certainly not something I put on and went, wow, this has just completely cooled me down. But it definitely feels like it cools me a little bit. So I'm using that, and I think that's it. All right, I'm gonna finish my second bowl of rice because I woke up, had a bowl of rice, went back to sleep, woke up, had another bowl of rice, and now it's almost time to get going. So we'll see you guys out there on the lakefront. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot. Unfortunately, there's no clouds outside, so it's gonna be sun exposure through the roof, but it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah, 35.5K. I think that'll take me to about 110 miles, so good week. All right, we're back home. A little post-run recap. You know, I try and tell all the athletes, like I coach a lot of athletes, and you know, I really try and make sure they don't treat runs like successes and failures. You know, the goal of the run is to finish at the right effort. And I think the main reason why I'm a little bit disappointed with that one is because I don't think I ran at the right effort with the heat as a factor. So what I mean by that is, you know, my goal pace at Chicago is 5:12 to 5:15, which will result in about a 2:17, 2:18. You know, even 5:17 mile pace is great, that's 2:19. And even if you're training in perfect weather, let's assume perfect weather for me is 45 degrees Fahrenheit, which is probably perfect, even 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is probably like 5-6 degrees. I know that's cold, you know, most people would prefer it a bit warmer. Even if I'm training in that, I think you still should adjust your goal pace a little bit in the marathon specific workouts so that you're running with the fatigue in mind. So I think, and I've always said this to people, that when you get to race day, I feel like you always get about a 3 second per kilometer or 5 second per mile boost because you're fresh and you have the adrenaline of race day. So if your goal on race day is 5:15 per mile, running at 5:20 per mile in perfect weather, I know I'm being a little bit over analytical here, but I know some of you guys love this. But today we ran at 5:18, 5:19 per mile, not even factoring in the heat. And I don't need to go into this for the 100th time. I severely struggle in the heat. I lose a lot of fluid. I overheat really easily. And 5:18, 5:19 per mile in 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 21, 22 degrees Celsius with 80% humidity is just too hard. That's not the same as running 5:18 in perfect weather. So 2 by 3 miles, 1 by 2 miles. In the 2 mile, I was really overheating. I checked in with myself and thought, do I feel like this is aerobically hard, like too hard? And the answer was no. I wasn't breathing too heavily. I didn't feel overly stressed aerobically, but I was just feeling really hot. And I think if we just run it closer to 5:30 pace, which to be honest, I actually was thinking about, you know, asking the guys to do that. And I think I sort of said in a message earlier in the week that we might do that. But we ended up just going like just a little bit under 5:20, and it was just too fast for me, too hard. I probably also needed to have some cold water over the head at some point. I didn't bring any with me, which is a massive rookie error. So I made some rookie errors this morning, but at the end of the day, I got 20 miles finished with 3 + 3 + 2, 8 miles at, goal pace. Yeah, not too bad. Just disappointing that I wasn't able to get done what I wanted to get done. But I know that if it was reasonable weather, I would have done that fine, and I'm sure of that. So I think that makes me, not too concerned about anything. But big week, 176 kilometers. I think that's 109 miles. So once again, biggest week I've ever done. So that's great. I'm going to be having 50 of these now. Realistically, probably like 5 or 10. This is so good from Whole Foods. It's grapefruit, sparkling water. But yeah, thanks for joining me another week. We are now 6 weeks to go. I hope to do a session similar to that again in better weather and try and really nail that 5:20 to 5:25, which is 5:15 to 5:20. Equivalent on race day very soon. Still got a few more weekends to go. But all in all, solid week. Dodged the heat as well as I could, and we continue. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll check in with you next week.